The prima facie, it appears that the voters have given a thumbs up to the Modi magic yet again. The BJP has not only managed a comfortable majority in Jharkhand, but also heralded a shift in Jammu and Kashmir politics. The PDP is only marginally ahead, with the BJP a pretty close second. As the winter session of Parliament, though, comes to an end, we analyze all the hits and misses of the Modi government. Joining us now, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha, and also member of the Standing Committee on Finance. Also joining us is Mr. N. Ram, Chairman of the Hindu Group. Mr. Ram, if I can come to you first about the election results that we've had today. Some would say that, yes, the BJP done well, but Mission 44, nowhere close to that in J&K. Was that too tall an order? Was the BJP really expecting to get 44 seats in J&K, or given the demographic of Jammu and Kashmir, they should be happy with what they've got?
Yeah, I don't think they really expected to win a majority on their own, 44. So I think they've got something, but it's going to be interesting, the politics as it unfolds, because technically the PDP can ally with the Congress and independents, but although it's more likely that they'll ally with they'll get the support of the BJP, but yes, the BJP has fallen short. We don't quite know what they really expected, but there they are. But I think the communalism that has been unleashed has taken a bit of a toll in seeing that they are a bit short in Jammu and Kashmir. But Jharkhand, they are through. So I suppose they'll be reasonably satisfied with this outcome.
As an observer, would you think that this is as good as it can get for a party that's won a thumping majority in a national election, and now with really no leader to project in these two states, they couldn't have expected more? What's your assessment as an observer?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I think they are reasonably satisfied. They couldn't have done much better than this, but I think the poisonous communal atmosphere, or the atmospherics created on the conversion issue and so on, I think this has taken a bit of a toll. It's not clear how much of a toll, but I think they will be reasonably satisfied with what they've got. But politically, to support the PDP, which has had some verging on some elements which verge on separatism, I think would be interesting, particularly for a party that stands for the abolition of Article 370. So that's going to be interesting.
Mr. Ram, hi, good afternoon. There's one school of thought which believes that if you compare to the Lok Sabha elections, the BJP was ahead in 58 assembly segments in Jharkhand, and they're going to end up with 41, just about scraped through. Do you think that's too much of a worry for a party like BJP, or is that par for course, in terms of election being different from national election down to assembly elections now?
Yeah, I think they would be a bit disappointed with that decline, but nothing that's going to alarm them, because nobody else is close. But yes, the performance has not been has not been great on that, and as I said, the negative factors, the divisive factors may have taken a toll. So there's something they'll watch out, but nobody's coming close at the national level, so they're not going to get terribly worried about all this. But I think it's a cause, but it's a cause that it needs to be watched. Yes.
Okay. Rajiv, performance hasn't been great for people who voted for the BJP, hoping for development and hoping for reform. Would they be justified in thinking that the performance of the BJP this winter session in Parliament hasn't been great? They certainly have shown intent, but not the ability to get too many bills through.
I'm not so sure it is to do with the BJP government's performance as much as I think the performance of Parliament in the Department of Legislation. I think if you contrast the Lok Sabha with the Rajya Sabha, the Lok Sabha has done an excellent job. They've had 126 sittings and has been reasonably efficient in conducting its business, and has passed, as you know, the coal bill. And unfortunately in Rajya Sabha, and as Mr. Ram said, this issue of conversion, whether it was used politically, misused politically, or whatever the political rationale behind it, the Rajya Sabha, which was supposed to initiate and pass key bills like the insurance bill, ratify the coal bill, etc., could not do so.
Rajiv, you're using the issue of conversion as an excuse. I don't think Mr. Ram meant to use the issue of conversion as an excuse for what happened in the Rajya Sabha.
I'm not saying. I think I'm pretty candid on this. I think conversion in Rajya Sabha was used as an excuse to disrupt Parliament because, look, there are two houses of Parliament. Conversion was debated in Lok Sabha and Parliament moved on. There was an issue. Yes, people were concerned about how the issue of conversion was talked about by some MPs, but the matter got resolved as it should be in Parliament, debated, discussed, and moved on to doing what it's supposed to do, legislate. In the Rajya Sabha, they got stuck on this issue of the Prime Minister must come, the Prime Minister must come. And I believe, and I may be in the minority, I may be in the majority, but I believe that the issue of conversion was used as a reason in the Rajya Sabha to disrupt what was clearly three very key economic bills that would have put the economy back on track.
Rajiv, the fact that these important bills didn't get passage is disappointing for everybody in the country. Why didn't the Prime Minister, just to ensure that the business of Parliament went on as routine, address the issue of conversion? That's all it would have taken, right?
No, so I think he did so, the Lok Sabha. I think he should answer. I'm unfortunately not plugged into why he does what he does. But he did so quite, he spoke about conversion in the Lok Sabha. The Rajya Sabha got disrupted. I don't understand why that got disrupted. I think this question really needs to be posed to the Trinamool Congress, which spent a lot of time disrupting the Parliament on the issue of conversion, where the focus on the Trinamool was on something else. So it was really not just the Congress. It was the Trinamool that did it for a while. Then it got picked up by the Samajwadi Party and then picked up by the Congress. Especially when most of the legislations had reasonable bipartisan support, especially the issue of insurance bill.
Rajiv, that's an interesting point because, if you're saying that it was just an excuse and a lot of people would agree with that view, in that case, what happens to the next session? And this is going to be a perennial problem for some time till the Rajya Sabha arithmetic changes. It's quite clearly in the favor of the government in the Lok Sabha. But for it to change in the Rajya Sabha, it will require at least 2 to 3 years, even if you go by the recent state elections.
No, look, I think there is a real strong argument to be made that if certain political parties start using their strength in Rajya Sabha to simply disrupt, nobody is arguing against the right to force a debate. Nobody is arguing against the right to get an issue on the table during 0 hour or a short duration discussion and have a debate. But if you start disrupting it, as you saw yesterday and today, people coming into the well and disrupting on matters that are absolutely bizarre and, just absolutely making no sense, then the government has to do what it has to do, which is convene a joint session of Parliament, because the economy can't wait for the Rajya Sabha numbers to change in 2016 or 2018. So you have to do what the Constitution provides for, which is convene a joint session of Parliament and have the popularly mandated government, demonstrate its popular mandate in Parliament.
Mr. Ram, at whose doorstep would you place the blame of why we didn't see the passage of important economic bills in the Rajya Sabha? Would you say that the opposition was doing what the opposition always does over the years, disrupting government business, even if the constituent parties are different? Or do you think that the BJP's floor managers failed the BJP, or that the Prime Minister, by refusing to address the issue of conversions in the Rajya Sabha, just made it that much more difficult for the government's business to move on?
Yes, I have a different view on this. I think it is the government that is to blame. The way they have responded to the opposition's concerns, and I think this is a very serious issue. They're trying to divide the country along religious lines. Many of the outfits of the Sangh Parivar are out there poisoning the atmosphere. And I think for the Prime Minister not to come out and make a clear stand on it, I think it shows the character of this government. So I have no problems with the opposition. I wouldn't see it as disruption. I think they're making a stand. They are digging in the Rajya Sabha. And it's for the Prime Minister to intervene and remove the apprehensions, if he can. But I'm afraid he won't be able to dissociate himself from the RSS position on this. And that's what's being played out for the whole country to witness. So I have a quite different take on it. It shows, in a sense, they are trapped in that ideological position, the Prime Minister himself. And those who seek to make a distinction between the fringe and the core and so on, I think are living in an illusory world, because they are part of the same ideology and there is a real problem here. So let them hold a joint session, but you're surely going to divert attention from key issues before the country, and the government is entirely to blame on this.
So I just want to reiterate Anuj's question to Rajiv and put the same one to you, which is that Mr. Ram, Rajiv, just give me a second. I just want a quick word in from Mr. Ram on whether he thinks that this dysfunctional politics or this log jam in Parliament, let me put it that way, will continue in the foreseeable future.
Yes, it could continue unless the government gets off its high horse on this issue. I mean, if it's a question of Prime Minister having to make a statement, then why not call his bluff if he's not willing to make it? Or why doesn't he do the right thing by coming in and meeting the opposition more halfway? So I think it's entirely the responsibility of the government to get the atmosphere cleared so that it can go about its business and let these bills be discussed, instead of these issues coming to the fore, conversion, reconversion and all that.
You would say, Rajiv,
they're poisoning the atmosphere.
No, or is the government secure in the knowledge that, yes, whatever may happen, we can, as Rajiv has pointed out, and all of us know, can convene a joint session of Parliament and
But for a bill, if I understand correctly, and Rajiv will correct me here, for a bill to be passed in a joint session of Parliament, it first has to be rejected in a particular house. So Rajya Sabha will have to reject the bill for any of those bills, the important economic bills, to get passed in a joint session of Parliament. So it isn't as easy as it sounds procedurally for some of these bills to get passage. I'm just separating the politics from the work of legislation, so to speak. Sorry, Rajiv, you wanted to come in.
Menaka, I just want to clarify the facts to Mr. Ram, and he may not have picked this up completely. You know, the government, and not that I have a brief for the government, but I must say it as it is happening in Parliament, or has happened in Parliament. This has been caught up in an unnecessary ego tussle between the opposition and the government. That I'm willing to admit. The government from the get-go, and the leader of the House, Mr. Arun Jaitley, and the Home Minister, said that they are prepared to make statements, answer any debate on conversion in Rajya Sabha. This was made not just on the first day, it was made on almost every day to the opposition. Now, turns out the opposition decides that they are not happy with the Home Minister of the country making an answer, giving a response, giving confidence, clarifying the statements of the Sangh Parivar, and they have chosen to seek this statement only from the Prime Minister. Now, that is, you know, now getting into an area of, you know, ego, and I must have... but
that's how opposition...
No, it's not just opposition. Rajiv, that's a function of personality politics. If you win elections on the basis of one person, that one person becomes the face of the government. And therefore, it's his commentary that's more important.
No, that is your view. That is fine. I'm not trying to change your view on any of this. But the way the government is today structured, there is a Home Minister. He is responsible for law and order. He is responsible for many things that are under the Home Ministry, including the issue of protection of the rights of all citizens to safety, and the issue of conversion, and the issue of pursuit of of individual religious choice. Now, the Home Minister is coming to the Parliament and saying, I will answer every doubt that you have, and I will make the position of my government clear. Now, okay, fine. If you then come to a stage where you are not satisfied with the Home Minister's answer, then yes, you can say, we want the Prime Minister to answer. But you have not given, the opposition has not given an opportunity to the Leader of the House to clarify. Opposition has not given an opportunity to the Home Minister of the country to clarify by saying that only the Prime Minister is answerable to the people and therefore he should clarify. Frankly, I am an independent MP, and I would, I am quite sympathetic to the issue that the opposition needs its space and needs to be able to voice its opinion. But on this one, I'm sorry, this just does not pass the muster of reasonableness.
And that may be a fair point, Rajiv, but just one question. Since Mr. Modi does communicate a lot with the country and the citizens who have voted him to power, what would it have taken for him to come and address this issue? I get that it's an ego tussle. I get that maybe the opposition request is misplaced. I'm saying just to allow the business of the Rajya Sabha to continue. Why wouldn't he just do it?
No, the counter and the more reasonable counter, the counter and the more reasonable counter is the opposition should allow the Home Minister of India to make the statement, and then if the opposition is not satisfied with the Home Minister or the Leader of the House's statement on this particular issue, isn't convinced, then they can raise the ante and say, we want the Prime Minister to speak. That is the correct way to do this. Now, we can short-circuit all of this because it suits us, but the correct way to do this is to have the Home Minister come to the House and answer on behalf of the government and behalf of his ministry any issue that the opposition has on the legitimate concern that has been raised on these irresponsible statements on conversion.
Mr. Ram, I'm just curious, do you agree with the point Rajiv is making on this issue of, you know, it's an ego tussle, misused by the opposition, so to speak, and that protocol would have sort of required or demanded the Home Minister to make a statement? Why insist on the Prime Minister making a statement?
No, I don't agree on that. There's nothing that says that you wait for the Home Minister to make a statement, then go up. I think the opposition has the numbers, and it's absolutely, it's very reasonable to demand that the Prime Minister come, because the Prime Minister is so much above the rest in this cabinet. I don't know how much the team counts. I think it sounds very credible, and if you're really serious about the business, what prevents the Prime Minister from coming and making that statement? But I doubt that the Prime Minister can come and make the kind of forthright statement that all of us want, that India is a secular country, and on conversions, take the stand that all secular governments will take, all reasonable governments will take. But there seems to be a bit of, I don't think it's just a question of ego. I think there seems to be a bit of a trap here into which the government has fallen, and I think it's entirely up to them, to the Prime Minister, to come and clear the air on this. So I don't see any reason why you insist on going first to the Home Minister, and then if you're not satisfied, that's Mr. Chandrasekhar's point of view. His subjective point of view. I could take a different stand. But if I were the opposition, I would do exactly what they are doing today, to flag this issue.
And that's what opposition have done in the past. Yeah. But procedurally now, where does that leave us, Rajiv? How do we get these, how much have we lost in time? How do we get these bills passed?
No, I think, if I was hoping, and I think a lot of the people who were observers of the economy were hoping, that leading up to the budget, this economic architecture, the pieces would fall into place, which is really things like the coal bill, the insurance bill, the company amendment law, the GST bill would at least have been introduced. And so we are a work in progress. I think what should have been done is not done, and maybe we are just moving this into the budget session as a co-terminus with the budget. It would have been ideal for the economy and for investor sentiment and to restart the investment cycle for these things to have happened a little ahead of the budget. But if it has to happen along with the budget, so be it.
You know, Rajiv, I had one other question with regards to the government's agenda. Since you observe, government work both from a political and a business point of view, many of these bills are bills that this country has been discussing for a very long time now. So they don't really represent this particular government's vision. They represent a broad vision, if I may put it that way. We have yet to hear from this particular government, and I'll grant you that it's been only a little over 6 months, what their economic vision really is beyond what we've heard during the campaign period. Are you a little bit disappointed or wondrous as to why this government has not spelled out more clearly, or are you hoping all of that will get done in the budget, in a sense?
Yeah, I think, Menaka, I've spoken about this publicly and I've written about this as well. I think the fact that a clear, lucid, coherent economic architecture hasn't really taken shape yet, or isn't visible to most of us, is a disappointment. And I think 6 months, 7 months should have been enough time for at least the outlines of that to have emerged. But, disappointment is disappointment, and we just have to park it on the side, I presume. And I'm hoping that leading up to the budget, this economic architecture will start, the contours of it will start becoming visible. There's the new set of ideas on governance, the new set of ideas on economic reforms will start becoming more and more visible, because right now, I agree with you, it's not very clear.
Mr. Ram, your view on that?
Yes, I have a great regard for Rajiv Chandrasekhar as a legislator. I've had discussions with him. He's very studious, and I think he's expressed, I think that's a very sound opinion that he's expressed, that it's not clear he is disappointed. I may have a slightly different opinion on the economy, but I'm no specialist, and I think I would go with that.
All right.
It has been disappointing. Yes.
There's no better point to close the discussion on than on a point of agreement. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and thanks very much for your views. Mr. Ram, Rajiv, thanks very much for your time.